They are wrong. How identity is holding you back instead of helping you. You have probably heard the advice to get better at something, form an identity around it. Want to be great at sales? Tell yourself, I am a great salesperson. Want to get good grades? Form the identity. I am a genius. Want to be good with people? Convince yourself, I am a social butterfly. Sounds logical, right? But here is the catch. What if forming an identity actually works against you? The rubber band analogy. You may have heard the rubber band analogy before, where if you try to act against your identity, you will eventually slam back to your old ways unless you change that core identity. But here is the problem. What if identity itself becomes a trap? The trap of identity. Let's say your parents always told you that you are a genius. Every time you got good grades, they praise you. Wow, you are so smart. You are a natural at this. At first, it feels great. It reinforces the idea that you are intelligent and you naturally want to keep excelling. But here is where it backfires. You will start to avoid difficult subjects or challenges because failing might challenge that identity. You will stick to things you naturally good at it and avoid situations where you might struggle. You fear failure not because of the failure itself, but because it threatens your self-image, and that's where the growth stops. A real life example. In The Art of Learning, the author, a chess grandmaster, shares a story about a young talented chess player. This kid was constantly praised as a chess genius, but because of that, he became terrified of playing against stronger opponents. Losing a game would mean he wasn't a genius anymore, and that fear held him back. This is the difference between good and great players. The great one doesn't tie their success to identity. They embrace failure because they see it as a chance to improve, not as a threat. As for me, it was the same case. I got a good grades in maths and science when I was a child. The praise I got, wow, you are so smart, you are genius, both from my parents and teachers who taught me. The result, I got bad grades in my local language subject like Hindi and Marathi. I started avoiding these subjects and never properly learned them, even to this day. This is the hidden cost of identity. Identity acts like a behavioral shortcut. It gives you confidence and motivation in the short term, but in the long run, it creates a fear of failure and prevents real growth. So, the question is, what is the solution? How do you improve without trapping yourself in an identity? You can do this by focus on effort, not identity. Instead of saying I am a genius, say I got good grades because I work hard and studied consistently. I won that race because I trained and built my stamina over time. I succeed in sales because I practiced my pitch and put in the effort. By focusing on effort rather than identity, you remove the fear of failure. Losing or struggling doesn't mean you are not good enough. It simply means you need to put in more effort. This applies to everything in life. The chess grandmaster I mentioned earlier was raised with this mindset. When he won, his parents praised the effort he put into preparing. When he lost, he told himself, I need to work harder and smarter to improve. Failure became a compass guiding his growth rather than a threat to his identity. With a fixed identity, failure feels like a personal attack, and that's what holds people back. But what about positive identities? Some people might argue, but isn't forming a positive identity useful? For example, let's say you form the identity. I love going to gym. Sounds great, right? But what happens when you are tired and don't feel like going? If you push yourself, you might start resenting the gym. If you skip too often, Your identity start to crack. Eventually, you will stop going gym altogether because the identity didn't hold up. Instead, focus on effort-based thinking. If you are too tired for the gym, don't see it as a failure. See it as a sign that you need to adjust your schedule or energy levels. Over time, you will learn how to push through discomfort and make a working out at a consistent habit regardless of how you feel. At last, my final thoughts. Most people quit when the things get uncomfortable, but that discomfort, that's exactly what leads to growth. Instead of forming an identity, focus on actions and habits that lead to success. So, that is for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.